Either you're going to be a part of it or you're not. It's quite simple. Good morning to you. And the leak stadium improvements, I did see the stadium improvements. I think somebody sent them to me. I was grateful for that. Shout out to the choppers for keeping me, up to date with things that are going on. I always come prepared, you know that, but I can't see everything. And I get a chance to see what's on your mind. That's always important. I did see the stadium improvements, and um, if that's what the Bengals wants, that's what they're gonna get. I mean, let's not play games with it. The Bengals ain't going nowhere. Nobody wants the Bengals to go anywhere, especially not after the season they just had. Nobody wants the Bengals to go anywhere. The Bengals ain't going nowhere. So if they want $450 million worth of improvements, my guess is that they will get it. All that excitement they brought to the city last year with that Super Bowl run, man, listen, on some levels, we easy peasy when it comes to, the folks here in Hamilton County. If they were able to convince us that we needed to invest billions of dollars in the Bengals back in the 90s when they was crap, how hard do you think it's going to be to get Hamilton Countyans to go along with the improvements now that they just went to the Super Bowl? They got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Ain't nobody trying to get that up. Ain't nobody. We ain't even got to have a conversation, although we'll have a conversation. You and I both know, Daryl, that whatever the Bengals ask for, they're going to get it. Period. I don't care if it was $1 billion, although they're smart enough to not ask for that. But I think they're asking, what, $500 million for these improvements? And they're going to add all kinds of new stuff, man. They're going to add a spot down there in the Bengals for sports betting, which is huge. It's huge. Huge. Humans and our pleasures. Sports betting, gambling is a pleasure that humans like. We like to indulge in pleasures. They're going to put that there, a skywalk situation, and some other improvements that I can get more in details as the show goes on. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. Got the AC blasting all night, so it's kind of chilly here at the house. Good morning to you. Welcome in. Again, coming up in about 5 minutes, we're scheduled to speak with Donnie Isaacson. We'll get a sense of who he is, what his values are, and what his policies are. What are his politics, and what exactly does that mean? Is he from Cincinnati? Is he not from Cincinnati? What's his connection? All these kind of stuff. We'll get a chance to talk with him coming up real soon. So I did see the improvements, Daryl, and as I said before, I already know. People talk back and forth. They should do this. They should do that. They're going to do whatever the Bengals ask them to do because the Bengals gave Cincinnati something that Cincinnatians rarely feel. The feeling of being a winner. That's what they gave us. Everybody in the city that watched the Bengals was super excited and charged up. You couldn't believe they kept winning them playoff games, pulling them off. You couldn't believe it. You ain't felt nothing like that in a long time as a sports fan, have you? Exactly. And human beings are all about feelings. And now the Bengals got us all in our feelings. Everybody, I see people on my friends list on Facebook. They down at the training camp, happy. Yeah. Can't wait for that team to come back. So come on, let's be real here. Let's be real here. Whatever the Bengals want, they're going to get. You know it and I know it. So let's just get ready for it. Let's get ready for it. Good morning to you. Shout out again to Alicia Reese and her vision and leadership with the Black Walk of Fame. Man, I saw an article in Essence Magazine about it. Essence Magazine was in Cincinnati last weekend covering the Black Wall of Fame because its culture is music. So again, so many great things are happening in this city, in this region, and people have to make a decision. Either you're going to be a part of it or you're just going to be negative and talk about what they don't do and all this kind of stuff. Somebody posted something about it was like the day after. It was a show right after. And again, I'm not trying to pick on you, but come on. Welcome to the Lions Den. Everybody get it, including the host. Somebody says something like, well, I think I was talking about the music fest. Well, black folks ain't really making no money and all the money, we just getting peanuts. Okay, then we'll go create something go create something where there's a bigger net and catch more cash. Okay, I mean, that's the way capitalism works. There's lots of money to be made, lots of opportunities, but if you're not in a position to take advantage of them, it don't mean nothing. It means nothing. All the money that comes to the city for the music fest, But if you're not in a position to catch any of it, you're not going to catch any of it. Nobody's going to collect money and then knock on your door and bring you a check. It don't work that way. So, next year, these events will come back. What you going to create? Go create something. That's how I look at it. But maybe I'm different. I don't know. I see Dunny's backstage. What's up, Dunny? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. Let's bring Dunny in. Dunny Isaacson is here, everybody. Let's talk with him. I appreciate his time this morning. Hey, good morning, Dunny.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, this is the first time, is it right? We talked before about Cole here, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I thought so. But good to see you. I appreciate your time.
Good to see you too.
So let's get into it, man. I mean, I'm familiar with you. I'm familiar with the work you do with Cole here and just a little bit about your background. But for folks who are seeing you for the first time, who are you? What are you running for? And just, are you from Cincinnati? What's your backstory?
Yeah, well, the first thing I like to tell people is that my name is Dunny Isaacson. It's spelled like Danny, but pronounced like Sunny with a D. And I grew up in Cincinnati. My parents immigrated to the U.S. In the early 80s and then made their way to Cincinnati, where I grew up. They are still here. And for, I like to answer the Cincinnati question right off the bat, which is I graduated from Walnut Hills in 2007. And I, right after finishing school, jumped right into the Obama campaign in Cincinnati in 2012. Loved organizing, liked being a part of campaigns, thought they all ended in the way the 2012 campaign ended. Since learned that they do not, but just wanted to keep working and organizing, and was down in Texas for a while after that, doing that work. I then went to law school. I got to spend a little bit of time in President Obama's White House during law school, and then moved home after law school to start Cohere, which is the small business that I run. We're a community engagement business, and the basic idea behind the work is that I had seen in my work as an organizer, there was a disconnect that existed at the local level between communities and the institutions and governments that were serving them. So Cohere exists to bridge that gap, to try and change the culture of decision-making by recognizing that people who live the issues every day, bus riders, kids getting bullied in school, people struggling to pay their rent, they are actually experts on those issues. And that when we get the everyday experts in the room with decision makers, the superintendent, the CEO of Metro, that's when you start to see real change. So that's the work I've been doing for the last 6 years. I love it, really proud of it. But you do that work long enough in enough communities, you start to realize that we could use some better state laws desperately. So decided to run for the state house. I am running for state representative in District 24, and the election is today.
Okay, so let's back up here. I think you're being a bit modest with Cohere. I mean, if people live in Cincinnati or Hamilton County, I wonder if they've been touched by your work and they didn't even realize it. Can you talk about some of the entities that you work with in Cincinnati and Hamilton County just a little bit?
Yes, definitely. So our biggest partner is Cincinnati Public Schools. We do their parent and student engagement through a lot of different ways. We've worked on issues of enrollment, anti-bullying policy, anti-racism policies. We run a program called Speak Up, Speak Out that we started after George Floyd was murdered in 2020, focusing on what Black high school students want to see done differently in the district. I've done some work on youth violence, and then we've done a lot of work with Metro, with Cincinnati Children's, with the Art Museum, with the Health Department, particularly around COVID. We're doing a lot of work now with the county health department around substance abuse and addiction. So it spans the gamut. We helped write the Housing Our Future regional housing report a couple of years ago. So all the day-to-day issues that affect people's lives, housing, education, transportation, jobs, there is so much expertise and there's so many good ideas from people who are going through those issues every day. And so our job is, how do we make sure that those ideas and those people are actually at the table? And so I've gotten to do a lot of that work over the last 6 years. I have, Nathan, to your question, I have spent close to 350 evenings over the last 6 years facilitating different discussions on these issues. So it's covered a pretty big span.
So let's talk about your district. You said is it just District 29?
24.
24, my correction. Thank you for that. District 24. So just so my audience knows, what are the neighborhoods that comprise District 24?
Yep. So District 24 goes from Westwood on the west side through Price Hill, Fairmount, north and south, and then the West End, Queensgate, Clifton Heights, Mount Auburn, most of Walnut Hills, then all of downtown over the Rhine, Pendleton, up into Mount Adams, and then heading east through Columbia Tusculum, the East End, and Mount Washington. So all the way from Westwood to Mount Washington, west to east along the river.
That's an interesting, all the way from west to east. Has it always been drawn that way, or is that part of like the new, districts that have been drawn lately? Or that seems very odd to go from east to west.
It's a great district with a lot of awesome communities, but it is, it looks a little weird when you look at the map. It's brand new. So there are 3 current state representative districts that there's a piece of each in this new district. But we've never had a district that looks like this before. Nathan, I can't hear you anymore. I don't know.
Okay, sorry about that. I do this once a show, Dunny. I make this mistake. My apologies. But I'm wondering, so what's the connection between those neighborhoods? Because every neighborhood is unique, right? But I'm wondering, was the district drawn in a way in which those neighborhoods are sort of like similar, or are there vast differences in terms of socioeconomics, race, or whatever the issues might be as you've been, canvassing the neighborhoods?
There's a huge variety, both demographically, geographically in those neighborhoods. A lot of, I've been knocking on voters' doors basically every day for the last 2 months. And so there's a lot of hills, Mount Washington, Mount Auburn, Price Hill. Walnut Hills. So I've been walking up and down. So it's a really diverse district, a lot of really strong communities. I will tell you, the Republicans did not draw these districts with anyone's benefit in mind beyond their own politically. This is a district that's a pretty strong Democratic district, but it's not like they drew it thinking, this district makes sense. The only thing that all the districts make sense for is Republicans trying to maintain a supermajority, unfortunately.
And let's talk about that, because you have an opponent who is your opponent's a Democrat as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, today is the Democratic primary election.
Democratic primary, right. And then whoever wins will go face the Republican candidate. Is that how that works? Okay. Is there a candidate in this particular district, a Republican candidate?
Yes. Yeah, there will be.
Okay. Okay. So whoever wins is going to have to face, so let's say you win in the general election. So now you're on your way to the state house, and that comes with a lot of responsibility, but also some challenges. And one of the biggest challenges is, as you just said, you have this super majority of the Republican Party at the state level. So my question is, so how can you be affected as a Democrat, dealing with that kind of super majority at the state level?
So that's the question, right? That's, people ask me all the time, why are you doing this? Democrats are in the super minority. I think the short answer is there's too much at stake. What else are we going to do except fight as hard as we can for what we believe in, even from the super minority? So I think there are some issues, access to reproductive health care, gun violence, that are so basic and fundamental that, there's no compromise on whether teachers should have guns in school. To me, there's no compromise on whether assault weapons should be on the street. And there's no compromise on whether women should have access to health care that they need. But there are things I do think we can compromise on. And this is where my work over the last 6 years with Cohere is really the core of both why I'm running and what I hope to achieve. Because on so many issues that affect people's lives, childcare for parents, affording housing and finding housing with enough bedrooms for families, making sure seniors have home health care or someone to come work, at their home so they don't have to go into nursing homes, home health care that's good and well paid, making sure kids have stuff to do after school. And in the summer, it could be employment, it could be art, it could be music, just something productive, making sure there's pathways to careers for people who don't necessarily have 4-year degrees. None of those are the issues that are, on Fox News or MSNBC or in the headlines. Those are all issues that have huge impacts on people's day-to-day lives that are not partisan or political if we do them right. And so those are the issues I want to focus on in the State House, because I actually do think and hope that we can make some progress on them with Republicans. So there's some issues where you just fight like hell. And then there's some issues that I think we can make real progress on in people's lives. And then I think the work is, and this is where Stacey Abrams in Georgia is like the North Star. What can we do to show up in communities to give more voters a reason to vote and to feel like it's worth engaging, particularly to vote for Democrats? And that's a long-term project. But, where we are today in 2022 is not where we were in 2012 when I was working on President Obama's campaign and we won the election. We've got a long way to go in Ohio. And so that's the work, I think.
Let's talk about your values, and your core values and your core politics. So what do you believe in, and what do you see as the big issues of the day and or the issues that you want to focus on for this district?
It's a great question. I think zooming out, the big thing for me is we have to change the culture of our politics if we want to actually start getting things done. We cannot, what we have right now is not sustainable. We're not actually making progress on anything we need to. And so what does that mean? I think a lot of it means we need to learn to listen to each other better, even to Republicans, even to people we don't agree with. I did a lot of work, as you know, on vaccines, and there were a lot of different opinions, and people felt really strongly about them when they were coming out. And our work was about how do we get people around a table, particularly people who are skeptical or have doubts or concerns, and really listen to what is driving their doubts and concerns. And this was on behalf of the health departments in Cincinnati and Columbus. And what we found was that people spent an hour and a half sharing, all of their questions and their doubts. And at the end of that hour and a half, they had a few questions for the doctors and health professionals, but mostly, they spoke. And afterwards, they would say, this was the most helpful and convincing discussion we've had since the pandemic started. And you can imagine from their perspective, every other time they'd brought up their doubts or concerns, someone had given them facts or figures, told them they were wrong, yelled them down, and it turned into a screaming match. And once they felt heard and respected, then they were open to having a discussion about it. And I think particularly for Democrats in a place like Ohio, the lesson is that we have to make more people feel heard and respected. We can have the best plans in the world, but if we come across as patronizing or condescending or knowing better, we lose people. And our job is to actually deliver some changes. And so if we want to do that, we got to bring more people into the fold and actually engage them and listen to them. So I think the biggest thing is how do we change the culture of our politics to make more people feel engaged, make it more of a partnership between elected officials and communities, make people feel heard.
Speaking with Donnie Isaacson, I want to open up to any questions or comments from the audience. If you leave it in the chat, then I'll try my best to shoot it to Donnie if you're interested. All right. Even to my people on Spreaker, if you're listening this morning and you want to chime in, you can leave a question or a comment, and I'll try my best to get it in. So as you've been doing your canvassing throughout the neighborhoods, what are the people saying? Like, what are the citizens, the people you represent? What are the issues that they've been talking about?
So it's been really interesting. So the whole spring, particularly as inflation was really hitting, everyone wanted to talk about rising prices, and that's still an issue. But all of a sudden, not so. This will come as no surprise for reasons why. But about 2 months ago, almost every conversation turned to gun violence and abortion and access to healthcare that I was having. Now, to be fair, I'm knocking mostly on Democrats' doors, so this is it's a one window of people because this is a primary election. But I think it probably tracks pretty closely to how people are feeling generally. Those are because of the mass shootings, because of the rise in gun violence in our neighborhoods. That's a huge issue that's on the top of people's minds. And then obviously, with Roe v. Wade getting overturned, that's been a huge issue. So it's rising prices, cost of living, access to reproductive health care, and gun violence have been the big.
So let's drill a little deeper on those issues, since those are the issues that your constituents have been bringing up. And I want to get your thoughts on them. So as it relates to Roe v. Wade, let's talk about that. And I get it. That's been the hot button issue. What can a state rep do to address your citizens' concerns? And then what is your politics when it comes to Roe v. Wade? Did you agree with the decision? Um, do you not agree with the decision? So it's a two-parter. So one, as a state rep, what can be done to address Roe v. Wade in the state of Ohio? And then two, any policy ideas or your particular politics? Could you share that with us, please?
So I might go in the reverse order. I was devastated to see Roe v. Wade get overturned. I think, we're already seeing how dangerous a decision that was for women and people who, get pregnant, that they don't have access to the healthcare they need. Whether it's, the cases we see in the headlines, like the 10-year-old who had to travel to Indiana for an abortion, to just the things you don't really hear about, women with ectopic pregnancies, frankly, people who just, want to make their own decisions about their healthcare. So I feel pretty strongly that was both wrongly decided on the law and horrible when it, as it relates to fundamental rights. So in terms of what a state rep can do, again, we're in the super minority here in Ohio. We have a governor and a legislature who are extremely on the right when it comes to this issue. As we're seeing from the headlines, it's not a good look for Ohio that people now associate us with that with some of these more extreme cases. I think as a Democrat, you have two jobs. Two big ones in the state house. One is you try and do as much as you can to find some sort of legislation that's going to help people or make, tamp down some of the extreme legislation coming out of the Republicans. And the other job is you got to organize communities, engage new voters so that 4, 6, 8 years down the line, we're not in this position with so little power in the state house. And then, the last thing, which I actually think is probably our best bet at the moment, is Ohio is one of the states that allows ballot initiatives, referendum for voters to put things on the ballot and vote directly on them. I think pushing for a statewide referendum or ballot initiative on codifying, essentially codifying Roe v. Wade in Ohio, the Ohio Constitution. It's expensive. It takes a long time, but I think that's one of our best bets.
Speaking with Dunny Isaacson, he's running for state rep here in Ohio in District 24. And if you live in District 4 or you know someone that lives in District 4, please share this with them so they can, get educated about the process. It's never too late to get some education. TNT writes, do Democrats need a better messaging machine? She writes.
So Democrats don't have what Republicans have, which is an entire news station that is a mouthpiece for their messaging, which is Fox News. And Fox News really does frame the narrative for a lot of the country. So I agree, we don't have that. But what I actually think so often we think of messaging as the problem. And this is where I go back to what I was talking about with the vaccine discussions. Sometimes it's not actually the message. It's that we don't take pause before delivering the message to really listen to people and make them feel heard and actually show up in their communities and in their neighborhoods, not just once, but over and over again. And then your message is going to resonate a lot more once you've built the relationship, built the trust. So, a core belief of mine, and this has been since I started working on campaigns, you never blame the voters for low turnout, for frustration. You got to give them a reason to vote. You got to give them you have to build that trust. That's the work Cohere has been doing. And it's the work I've been doing on this campaign and plan to keep doing as a state representative. And it's slow and it takes a long time. And there are some neighborhoods in my district and in others where voter turnout sometimes is less than 1%. And the one option is to write off those neighborhoods and say it's not worth spending time there, right? So there's basically no votes there. I really believe as Democrats in Ohio, we don't have that option. If we want to start winning, those are the neighborhoods and communities we have to spend the most time in, so that 1% becomes 5%, becomes 10%, becomes 20%. And so I think that's the work.
I'm glad you said that because I've had those conversations primarily with folks I think are probably Democrats, and they're frustrated. And I've heard them sort of turn on the electorate, like, it's the people. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. For me, you got to look at yourself. You got to look at the messaging. Like maybe you're not reaching people. Like you said, you got to give people a reason. It's not enough to say, especially in the Black community, I hear this a lot. Well, your ancestors died for this right. And that's completely true. And I respect that. But that's not enough with people. People need to be energized. They want to be inspired. People deserve to be inspired, right? That's what really I think, and you've worked in this world way more than I have, so you've got the expertise, but people, I think that's what really gets people out. That's what people had with Obama. People were inspired, right? They were excited. That's what gets people out. Now, yeah, people will come out to vote against something, but what's been your experience? I mean, what gets people out to vote?
So I think unfortunately, we can't rely on having a talent that like President Obama's to get people out. I think we need some other strategies because he's a pretty unique figure in history. But I think what you said is exactly right. People deserve to feel excited. So I spent a lot of the spring when there was this redistricting craziness and we didn't know where the districts were, talking to high school students in government classes, just trying to get them engaged. It's not something no one running for state representative ever came to talk to my high school government class, and I like working with young people, so went and did that. And I started off every discussion asking them by a show of hands how many were feeling cynical or hopeful about the ability of government and politics to make their lives better. And almost 100% of them would say cynical when we started. And you can understand why, but what I told them was, I get why you feel that way, and it's totally unacceptable. 16, 17, 18-year-olds should feel like they can light the world on fire, like they're going to change things, not like they're ready to throw in the towel. And so then we would spend 45 minutes going back and forth, mostly just me listening to their ideas, some brilliant ones, some less than brilliant ones. But the important thing was at the end of those sessions, not all of them, right? It takes more than 45 minutes. But the beauty of young people is that they can change on a dime. And a lot of them signed up to volunteer. They asked me how they could get plugged into other issues they cared about, and so that's the work, right? The work is showing up and giving people a reason to be engaged. I'm really proud of the fact that the majority of the people who have participated in Cohere discussions and focus groups over the last 6 years have said it's their first time ever participating civically in that way. And the reason for that is they're there because they're getting access to someone in a position of power. We're using a community organizing network to make them feel like it's worth engaging, and it's time consuming and it's hard, but eventually, if we want a society where people feel energized and plugged in, that's what it takes. And the good news is there's a lot of people, myself included, who love doing that work.
Speaking with Dunny Isaacson, he's running for state rep in Ohio District 24. Hey, Dunny, can you tell us what neighborhoods comprise District 24 once again? Because someone, I think she just came into the stream and she's asking, where is District 24? Just so people know.
Yep. So I'll go east to west this time. So starting all the way in Mount Washington, then the East End, into Columbia, Tusculum, and then Mount Adams, most of Walnut Hills, downtown, Pendleton, over the Rhine, Mount Auburn, Clifton Heights, the West End, Queensgate, North and South Fairmount, all three Price Hills, and all of Westwood. So from Mount Washington to Westwood, mostly along the river, including downtown.
Okay. And since you've been doing this work and knocking on doors and, like you said, mostly speaking with Democrats, has anybody shot an idea to you that you thought, wow, I never thought of that? Let me keep that in mind. If so, what was that idea?
Oh, very glad you asked. So I love this idea. When I was talking to the high schoolers, we would talk about one of their big issues is access to mental health care and counseling. And, the 1,000-to-1 ratio of counselors, or, schools where there's not enough room, literally not enough physical room for mental health counselors. It's just not cutting it for kids. They need people to talk to. And one of the things one of the students said was, well, we have requirements where we have to take phys ed, gym class for a certain amount of time. And we do that not because it's going to get us in shape, because it builds a culture of the hope is that it builds a culture of physical activity. And they said, if we're serious about mental health being health, the same way physical health is health, what if we had every student in 9th grade, have some sort of mental health care that, one session or something, just to normalize it, to, make it a part of the, culture to talk about your feelings and to engage and process in that way. And I thought it was a really powerful idea. We didn't get into it on how to execute, but the idea of treating mental health care for young people the way we do physical health care, I think is really important and an interesting new idea.
I still have time for your questions and comments. If you can get them in quickly, I'll try to get them in front of Dunny, and maybe he can answer or respond to your comment. All right, feel free to do so. And my people on Spreaker as well, just leave a comment or a question. I'll try to get it in. So Dunny, so you've got a Democrat opponent. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people in this audience probably vote Democrat. But the question is, why you? You know, what distinguishes you from your opponent? You know, if I'm watching you, don't really have a lot of, experience with you. Maybe you're a new face for me. Why should I give you a shot?
So I appreciate this question. It's been really important to me in a primary race that you're not going to hear me or my campaign say negative things. I'm really proud of the race we've run. So you're not going to hear me say that today, but if people want to Google my opponent, they can and learn for themselves. But from my end, right, I'm running because of the work I've been doing in communities in Cincinnati, and because of those lessons and that experience and those relationships, wanting and feeling like I can represent the district effectively in Columbus, because I've run a small business that has really focused on grassroots engagement and listening to people for the last 6 years. I grew up in Cincinnati, came back to start to do this work, and we have worked on all of the issues that touch people's day-to-day lives. And those are the issues we need to start doing differently and make progress on in Columbus, from helping parents with childcare to making sure kids have productive and safe things to do outside of school, to keep them from going down the wrong track, to making sure there's pathways to careers for people. And so those are the issues that we've heard of over and over again in our work. And those are the issues I want to work on and fight for in Columbus. And so I think because of the experience and energy that I'm bringing to this work, that's why I'm hoping people are in the District 24 will send me to Columbus today.
And that is they're not sending you today, so they would send you to the general election in November. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right,
It was partially misspoken, but it's a relatively Democratic district. So
right.
The election today really matters.
Right. I get it. I definitely get it. So as we close up, Dunny, I want to give you a last word just to speak directly to the audience. But are there any questions? I'm sure you've been asked a lot of questions, a lot of interviews. I've seen your interviews, at least the ones that have been posted on Facebook in terms of like the video elements of it. Is there any question that you haven't been asked that you thought you would have been asked? And if so, what is that?
Great question. I think the biggest question that people have that maybe I thought you were going to ask, which you did to some extent, was just what's the plan? Sort of, if the plan is to change the culture of politics, what does that actually look like? What does it mean to change the culture of politics? And I think some of the ideas that I have so far are around how do we apply the same sort of model from Cohere to how elected officials engage. I think so often we think about elected officials as these people we send to Columbus or to DC on our behalf, and there's no bridge. And I think what people want and need to feel engaged is to have it be much more of a partnership. So, if I'm on the education committee in Columbus, I want to have people from every single neighborhood who the issue of education touches, kids, their parents, teachers, forming community advisory boards, who can continue to engage with me to make sure, they're helping me decide how to vote on issues. They're making sure to help me, how do we frame potential legislation? Where are we willing to compromise? And so I think maintaining that constant bridge, and this is one piece that I like to talk about because it's something that we can control regardless of whether Republicans are in the supermajority. Constituent services, anyone can do. And when you have an issue with the city, and Nate, I know you've done this before, people know to call their city council member or their city council person's office to help them navigate that issue. State representatives should play the same role for any state issue, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, the VA, education issues. And so the job of I think an effective state representative is to go out proactively and let communities know you can rely on me in my office to navigate these issues. Call us if you have an issue with the state, and people need to know that so that they can start to feel like their government is working for them, even when you're not in a position, in leadership in Columbus to draft legislation.
Well, again, Dunny, thank you for your time. If you want to make an appeal directly to the audience, the floor is yours. Go right ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. It's nice to chop it up with this group. And my big appeal is that today is election day. Republicans tried their hardest and continue to try their hardest to keep us from voting. This is the first time we've ever had a primary in August. And it's on us, all of us, to make sure that they don't get what they want, which is that we stay home and disengage and throw up our hands. And so my appeal is that people get engaged. They find some reason that gets them fired up. Maybe it's politics, maybe it's political, maybe it's something else, volunteering, working and giving back in your community, but something that helps you get plugged in. And I'll close with, again, Dunny Isaacson, spelled Danny, pronounced like Sunny with a D, running as a Democrat in District 24. I'm really proud to have been endorsed by most of the leading Democrats, including a majority of city council, majority of the school board, majority of the county commission, Mayor Puraval, the sheriff, and was recommended for endorsement by the Hamilton County Democratic Party committee. So just grateful for all the support we've received. I hope people go out and vote today. Polls are open until 7:30 p.m. And again, thank you for having me.
Hey, Dunny, it's my pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show today and just giving us a chance to speak with you before we go out and vote today. Wish you the best, and let's stay connected.
That sounds good.
Yep.
Thanks.
Take it easy. Yeah, most definitely, everybody. That's Dunny Isaacson. He's running for state rep in District 24 here in Ohio. As a matter of fact, I can put the district. There it is. That's the district right there. Matter of fact, I can even, boom, there it is. So that's the district right there. If you live in one of those districts, then he could be your rep. He could be your rep, and he's right about that. So just the way, this is just my knowledge. The way that that's been drawn is heavily favoring the Democrat candidate. You can't take anything for granted, but let's just say that whoever wins today has a really, really good shot of winning in the general in November. So today has a lot of impact. And that's a very oddly drawn district like that. Look at that. That's kind of weird there. And it's going to be a huge, huge, huge issue there that people are going to have to deal with, or whoever is the who wins state rep. I mean, I can imagine there's just like and maybe even some cases, some competing issues, like, with that group there. But there it is. I want to make sure we talk to Dunny as you prepare to vote today. I know the choppers. I don't even have to say this to you. I know the choppers already. Oh, Dunny's still here. All right, take it easy, Dunny. I know the choppers already. And I'm talking to voters. I'm not just talking to voters. I'm talking to influencers. People that influence other people to vote. So there it is. So let me address this. I know I want to put this, out there. I keep it 100 with you, and I saw that our everybody's favorite local operative, Graxton, was some saying things about Dunny. So to my knowledge, Dunny and PG are friends, and that's it. I don't know anything about his PAC or anything like that. The reason why I didn't bring it up to him, because I didn't think it would be fair. I mean, I judge one man who's running for office off what that one man is doing. I mean, what your friends or your mom and them did really has nothing to do with you per se, but people have to make those own decisions and decide for themselves. But I want to make sure I put that out there so you don't feel like I'm trying to hold some information from you, because I don't really have a dog in the race. My fight is just for the people, just to make sure you have as much education as possible. So that's why I didn't bring up anything about PG or anything like that, because it's not really relevant. I think that people should stand on their own 2 feet. It's really about the race that you run and who you are, as opposed to who you might be associated with. But that's just me. That's just me. What do you think? 513-873-7134. If you live in the 24th district, there it is, one of those neighborhoods that's highlighted with a darker color there, then you got a decision to make today. You got a big decision. And you have to make that decision based upon your information. If you're interested in going to his website, it's Vote Dunny. So VOTE Dunny, DANI, Vote Dunny. And I'm aware of the work that Dunny has been doing with Cohere. I think it's good work. I've seen the man out and about in the community, but that's just my perspective. You've got to make your own decision. You know me, unless I see and perceive a threat, Democrat, Republican, whatever, I just open the door and let people say what they have to say. And I don't really say pro or con either way. You're smart, intelligent people. You make your own decision. Now, if I sense a threat, I'm a foreign Voltron. Democrat, Republican, black, white, somebody I know, somebody I don't know. If I sense that you could be a problem for the community, we gonna have to talk about it. So that's just my style. Everybody is different, but that's what you get when you come to this show. So I want to speak to that because I know that Black Russia, and I appreciate Black Russia being here and what he brings to the show. But I want to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from, so you ain't looking at me crazy like, "What, Nate? Why didn't you say that to me?" So that's why. Make your own decision for yourself. I just give you access to the information. You make your own decision. All right. And as always, whoever comes in here, if we have the time, I try to make sure we get some time in for your questions, because you might have great questions. You might live in the district, you know what I'm saying? And you got a much better insight and question than I do. And I want to push that forward. And so I make sure we got the time. But again, vote Dunny, VOTEDANI. I know you want to say Danny, but I've learned it is Dunny. So you make your own decision. And with that, I got to make a quick break. Let's take a quick break, everybody. We'll come right back, live, local, and vocal. This is the Nathan Ivey Show, the last honest place in Cincinnati media, if not across the country. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Mayor Aftab Puraval, and I'm asking you to vote for my friend Dunny Isaacson for state representative. I know Dunny, and he will be a representative who gets things done for our city. Early vote starts July 6th, and Election Day is August 2nd. Don't forget to vote for Dunny Isaacson to be our Democratic candidate for state representative in District 24 on August 2nd.
I'm Dunny Isaacson, candidate for Ohio State Representative, and I approve this message. Paid for by Friends of Dunny Isaacson.
I'm former Mayor Dwight Tillery, and I want to encourage you to vote for my friend Dunny Isaacson for state representative. Early vote starts July 6th, and Election Day is August 2nd. If you're in Walnut Hills, over the Rhine, the West End, Westwood, or the rest of District 24, don't forget to vote for Democrat Dunny Isaacson for state representative.
I'm Dunny Isaacson, candidate for Ohio State Representative, and I approve this message. Paid for by Friends of Dunny Isaacson.
Just can't stop thinking about you. Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like, yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out of my mind. Just stop thinking about you. Just stop thinking about you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Quick break. Never too late to be what you might have been. It's never too late. Good morning to you. Welcome back. So what did you think about Dunny Isaacson? Give me it's a chopper, so chop it up. You know what I'm saying? I want to get your thoughts. Were you aware of that race? Let's be honest here. Not everybody has the same level of awareness. You might have missed it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure. What's on your mind? As it relates to that interview? What do you think? I'm not asking you whether you're going to vote or not for him or for his opponent or somebody else. I'm asking you, what's your impression? What do you think? Kamika writes, if BR endorses a candidate, always vote for the other person. Yeah, his track record ain't too good. It ain't too good. You know, that's the thing about BR, man. He lack of self-awareness. It's like, you want to tell people what to not vote for, but the people that you roll with, bro, has been real questionable, including John Cranley with your Sweetium t-shirt. Again, I was right there. I saw it. So again, I take it for what it is. We try to learn as much as possible. You can learn for anybody and everybody, and I leave it at that. But good morning to you. Deborah writes, if we refuse to vote for Democrats because they can't give us everything we want, we are going to let Republicans take away everything we have and could have. Absolutely. Like I said, black people are very smart. We know what's going on. You got these folks out there. You got some folks that are very susceptible to propaganda. They fall for it every single time. But I'm not one of those black folks. You know what I'm saying? I got a strong constitution. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly who I am, right? And I know exactly, in many cases, what's going on. I can see straight through the fog. Some people have issues with that because they get caught up with their emotions. Remove the emotion and just look at it for what it really is. But that's where we come in. It's the chop shop. We chop it up. And sometimes we break it down to smaller pieces so people can digest it. You know what I'm saying? Ray writes, good risings all. Good to see you, Ray. What up? What up? Ray and Renee, good morning to you. Chocolate Girl Wonder writes, good morning, choppers. So a couple things we got to talk about, and I want to make sure we do this. So one thing is our investment club. Okay. For those that are interested in our investment club, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go find a video that we shot with brother Chuck Futel, and I'm going to repost that and share it so that if you're interested, you can be refreshed or you can get the information that we get. And what I'd like to do is by the end of August, I want to make sure if we're going to do this, I want to do it. I want to do it. You know, I after speaking with Chuck Futel and listening to his presentation, I think the man is 1000% on point. This is a wealth building exercise that we can all do together. But the way that we're going to set up our investment club is we're all going to invest in the same things, but you'll have your own independent account. Now, why are we doing it that way? We're doing it that way for a couple reasons. Number one, this is the first time I'm doing something like this, and I want to make sure we have the safeguards that are put in place to protect everybody. Secondly, is because it's the first time I'm doing something like this, I want to make sure that we get the people that, and again, I think everybody's serious, but we get the people who are going to be consistent about it. Whether that because things happen in their life or whatever, I want to make sure there's a level of protection for all of us. So the way it'll go is we're all going to invest on a monthly, yearly basis. This is not just a one-time thing. This is a multiple year type of thing that even if, let's say I die and there's no Nathan Ivey show, that should not impact your investments, right? That's why we're setting it up the way we're setting it up. Let's say you lose your job or you have some other calamity and you know, you're no longer to follow through with your previous arrangement. That's great. You know, talk to Chuck. That's cool, but that shouldn't impact the rest of the group. You see what I'm saying? So that's the way we're setting it up this way. It's an education piece, but it's also a wealth building piece. And what you do with your fund and whatever is whatever. So the exercise is we'll come together as an investment group, perhaps on, and I don't know what it'll be an annual basis or I'm not sure yet. And we'll decide what we're going to invest in. Chuck has already pledged that he'll work with us in a very special way to educate us about investing. Not everybody needs that level of education. Some of y'all are already doing it. But for those that need it, it's an educational process. It's also a wealth building exercise. And who knows, had we started this 5 years ago when we kicked off the show, just imagine how much we might have a nice little something. Right. So I'm thinking to the future. I'm thinking 5 years from now. Just imagine we start this year. Imagine where we are in 5 years, what we have in 5 years. And at that point, we might decide we want to do something that's a bit more we might decide we want to do something different, right? 5 years from now, we might have a nice little nest egg each and every, we will. If we do it consistently, we will have a nice little nest egg. Now, what we do then, that's a different conversation, but I want to get us there. So we've talked about this a few months ago, and I know many of you are very serious about it, but I want to make sure we get this done, okay? So today is the second day of August, and I'll put the education out this week to if you're interested. I've already sent the video out to many people, but I'll repost it somewhere online and make it available to those who are interested. We spoke with Chuck for maybe 45, 50 minutes, but he broke down the whole process, who he is, what he's doing, why he's doing it, what he's going to do for us. And if we're going to do this, let's do it. Let's get her done. Let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it done. And the ups and downs of gas prices and food prices, I get it. And so perhaps we might have to make some deviations, right, in the near future. But consistently, if we do this, then we will get results, right? And this could be something that could be a part of your retirement plan. It could be something you want to leave to your children. You know, people, when we were doing this and talking about this some time ago, we had some folks who are a little bit more seasoned than others, and they were like, "Well, you know what, Nate, I'm seasoned. You know what I'm saying? I only got this time and this, that, and the other." I'm thinking it's never too late to stack some chips and leave it for your grandbabies. They got to eat. Like, raise your hand if when your mom and them or your grandmama and them passed away, they left you something. Raise your hand if they left you a house, or they left you some assets, or they left you a nest egg, 10, 15, 20,000, 5,000. Numbers say that's rare, but we can change that together. We can change that for our families together. We can't help everybody, but we can help our families. We can do that. That's one thing we can do. And all it takes is a little bit of sacrifice here and there, a little bit of discipline. That's all it takes. But we can do it together. Okay, so you'll hear me talking about this every single day, and I'll repost the video this week and make it available. If you're interested, get the education. The door is not closed. The window is still there. And the way I look at it is this: like, yo, when we do the lottery club, everybody understand that we can jump on that. Well, this is an investment club, and it may be long term. It might be a long term investment for you. You ain't doing it for me. You're doing this for you. Because it's going to be your own account. Like I said, if I die, I want to set up in a way that I don't have to be here for you to continue on the process. You know what I'm saying? If we start with 50 people and then, something happens, Lord forbid, they're no longer with us, it won't affect the investment group because you've got your own individual investment account. And I think that's a very smart idea. So you hear me talk about it every day. I'm going to keep pushing us until we get that. And the way we're setting it up is, maybe this month ain't good for you. Okay. You can still be a part of that. You can still be a part of, you can still start with us. All right. I'm very serious about that. I think, like I said, if we can do the Lotto Club, then we can do the Investment Club. They're both kind of very similar, right? Speaking of the Lotto Club, I'm going to continue doing that just because it's fun. It's just fun. And like I told you, when we did this a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was, I just like doing something with you. That's it. I'm not one of these people that puts a lot of stake on lotteries. I put it on my shoulders. If we win, that'd be great. If we don't, we can have some fun with it. But I want to organize it a bit better so it's easier on me, and then I'll share the details with you. What's today? Tuesday? Yeah, I could probably get that done. I know there's a lotto yesterday and it's going to be some lotto this week. I could probably get that done between now and next week with what I have in mind, right? I want to make sure that we're going to do this, that is done right. Because, ain't no problem until we win. And then when we win, if it ain't done right, there's a big problem. And like I told you, I don't play with people's money. There's some things I just don't do and just will never do. But good morning to you. So keep your eyes on the show here throughout the rest of the week. I'll let you know, and I'll put it on Facebook. And I'll make sure you get the information. I got several ways to communicate with you. And I'll make sure you get the information for the Investment Club and the Lotto Club as well. All right. And I'm getting really close to announcing when we're going to do our next Chopper meet and greet. You know how I like to do things. So keep your eyes open and your ears open for that as well. So it's a bunch of stuff going on as always. And guess what? It's August. You know what that means? CPS. That's right. Cincinnati Public Schools are going to be going back soon. I just got a message this morning saying that CPS has brokered a new deal with the Metro services. And guess what, y'all? They are going to be providing bus services before and after school for all CPS students, 9 through 12. Hooray, hooray. That was a big issue, and it really inconvenienced a lot of families. I'm glad to see the powers that be worked it all out as we get ready for the new school year. Hooray, hooray. That's a great thing. The next thing they got to do is a couple things. Their communication with parents, um, uh, The disciplining of black students at CPS remains an issue. Uh, and dealing with problematic administrators. They got to deal with all of that. On top of, we got a new superintendent. And again, I don't think people should pile on this sister. You know what I'm saying? She just got here. She don't really know the city. I think we should give her some latitude, give her some grace, and let her learn the law of the land, the lay of the land, should I say, and how things work. And then we can, accurately assess the job she's doing. But she got a huge job, because on top of all those other things I just talked about, we all looking for what? Excellence. We want CPS to produce a better quality of students that graduate high school and then graduate college. You know what I'm saying? At every school, not just at a select few. So that woman has a huge job, And we didn't even talk about COVID and monkeypox. I'm telling you, the world is crazy. The world is crazy. And I don't envy her at all. She got a huge job on her hands. See, people are raising their hands for the investment club. Great. I will let you know. But I'm serious. I want to make sure we put this in place, get set up. So what will that take, Nate? You're talking about the investment club. That sounds good. That means that you are going to have to reach out to Chuck Futel, contact him by phone first, set up either a telephone conversation time and or a time for you to go to his office. His office is over on right off of I-74. It's in the I-74 building over on the Westwood, on the west side of town. Go over to his office, sit down with him, talk through everything, sign off on the papers, and get it started. You know what I'm saying? That's a process that me and the wife is going to go through. No matter what your other investments may be, can you have too many investments? I don't think so. Maybe I don't think so. So that's what it will take for you to get signed up, to literally sit down with Chuck in his office. Starts with a phone call. Decide for yourself if it's something you want to go through. And again, I talk with Chuck. Ain't no pressure. The pressure is all internal. Like if we set up a system where every month you're automatically putting in a certain amount of dollars to your investment club, that's your investment club. If you don't, you don't. You know what I'm saying? Chuck ain't gonna call you and beat you down like he's some kind of bill collector. This is all on you. But I will be here. I will be here to gently shepherd and remind us of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish here. And I say that very gently, right? Because y'all grown. I can't tell you what to do with your money, and I don't even want to try to. I ain't even trying to do that. I just want to, present some positive avenues so we can change the outcomes a bit. That's it. What you do with it is going to be up to you, right? It's going to come down to that self-discipline piece, which is hard to do. Believe me, I know. We all know this, right? That is hard to do. But we can do it. Just imagine where we'll be in 5 years. Just imagine that. Again, I wish we had started this 5 years ago. We'd be talking about a whole other conversation right here, right? The individual members would have, and there's no doubt about it, if we follow the plan that Chuck has laid out, you will have at least 5 figures. And again, how many people got 5 figures from their family when they passed away? Raise your hand if when your mom and them or your grandmother and them, hopefully they're still here, because family is everything. But let's say your mother and them, your mother, father, grandparents passed away. Did they leave you anything, any assets? They leave you a house? They leave you 10, 15, 20, 30, 40,000? You ain't got to raise your hand. I'm just saying, think about it. But you can change the outcomes for the people in your family, right? And that's what we're going to do. And, if we start with 10, if we start with 5, that's what we're going to do. No doubt about it. And you know how things are. When people see you is successful, they'll jump on. And that's cool. The door will always be open for the choppers. I'll always be open for you to be involved with something that's positive. Good morning to you. We are going to do that. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of whether you are going to be involved in, but we are going to do it. No doubt about it. 100%. Good morning to you. Where do we start here? I don't even know where to start. Not even so. Let's start with this. Another CPD officer uses the N-word. And when we talked with Sister Iris Rowley last week, she hit us the game and told us about this. And another officer, white females, I understand, if I'm wrong about that, set me straight, was caught using the N-word. Apparently she used the N-word. Somebody heard her try to correct her, and then she used it again a short time afterward. So within the last month, month and a half, we'll say 2 months, just to incorporate and encompass everything, we've had 4 stories, or at least 3 stories, of Cincinnati police officers using the N-word. And let's take it from the top. On a personal level, what you're doing, between your family and them, some people get all on their feelings about the N-word. I do not. I see it for what it really is. And we can agree to disagree. People say, well, you can't take no negative and make it a positive. That's like, yes, you can. Because how many people refer to themselves as black? Are you black? That was a negative. Black folks do the same thing with the word black as we did with the N-word. So it can be done. And it's not just black people. In Native American culture, they have a word as well that was used by the colonizers to disparage Native Americans. And Native American youth have adopted it, much like African American youth have adopted the N-word. I just can't remember what the word is. How do I know? I talk with a brother that's deep in Native American culture, indigenous culture, and he told me this. So I'm taking for his word. So when I hear people say, we the only people to do this, they don't know what they're talking about. They just haven't been educated yet. That's just not true. I would imagine that across the globe and across the annals of time, oppressed people have been doing that with words and language since the beginning of time. Something tells me that's probably true, although I just can't. That's just my opinion about, human beings. I can't prove that to you, but something tells me that's probably consistent across the globe and the annals of time. It's a very human thing to do. So I don't get all in my feelings about it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm an African American. I'm black. So I got license to use it with my peoples. You can't do that if you ain't one of us. It's just that simple. I don't know why it's so hard for people to get that. But I'm talking about on a personal level. Now, when you on the job, I don't want to be referred to as Nigga or Nigger by nobody, black or white, because it's not professional. That's street language. You know what I'm saying? That's street slang. You shouldn't be using those kind of terms. Any kind of a term that anybody might think is offensive, right? To your knowledge, you shouldn't be using it. Black officer, white officer. Although, in my opinion, from what I understand about that black officer and in the way that he used it, that's different. But what in the hell? I mean, thank God for modern technology, because we wouldn't even know any of this stuff. Body cam be catching it. Body cam is a dub. Body cam is a dub, as in W, right? Body cam is a dub. Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And it just I'll ask the same question. What else are we missing? What else are we missing? Like Cincinnati police and the city, they don't have the resources right now to go through every single video. But I'll say it again. And this is my opinion. I feel as if we had the resources to go through every second of every body cam, we might be amazed at what we find. I know that CPD, they do random kind of things. They'll randomly check it sometime. And then sometimes they'll check it because they get a complaint. Not sometimes, but they'll check it if they get a complaint and things like that. But again, if we had the resources to view and to observe every second of every body cam of every officer in the Cincinnati Police Department, how many other OMG moments will we come across? How many other OMG moments? And then the other question is, this to me, this can also be used as like a teaching tool. Like, what can police organizations do to make sure that people who might have those kind of mentalities either don't get on the force or they're weeded out, quickly after joining the force? Like, is there anything they can do? Like in some cases, they can't do anything about it until the words come out of somebody's mouth. But I'm just wondering, is there anything else that can be done um, during the process that could identify, some of these feelings that law enforcement officials have? I mean, that's quite scary. That's quite scary that you got law enforcement that feels that way about a significant portion of the community that they swore an oath to serve and protect. It's quite amazing. So, we already know they got good people in the city, but I still think from the public standpoint, these kind of conversations can push the culture forward, and we shall see. But that is quite alarming. Quite alarming. You had a black officer that refers to citizens that he was sworn. This is some disrespectful ass ish. He should have been disciplined. It was disrespectful, even though I feel as if it's not the same as a white officer saying NIGGR. It's disrespectful. You ever go somewhere and dealing with somebody that's on a job, they just get too friendly with you? You don't know me. You don't know me. I mean, hey, good to see you, bro. Hey, sis. Love my peoples and all, but you don't know me. Don't talk like we best friends and you my brother and them, or we not on the streets. I'm in an establishment trying to get products and services. Treat me like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not your boy. I'm not your pal. I'm not your buddy. And I'm not your N-word while you're on the job. You know what I'm saying? You don't know me like that. You got another white officer that's trying to arrest a woman, a black woman. She smacks him in the face. He gets all in his feelings and says, the N-word hit me. The NIGGR hit me. Huh? This is what this woman is to you? And you feel so comfortable. And see, my thing about it is there's two times when people are honest. One is when they're drinking. So let me give you some advice. If you ever in a situation where somebody's drinking and they do some F stuff to you, and then you check them later and they're like, oh, I was drinking, don't let that go. Because they were saying what they really felt. They were saying what they really felt. I had a situation, was it early this year or last? I think it was last year. I go to an event. It's a brother there I know. He'd been drinking. It was obvious. He get a little too friendly to the point where I'm about to form Voltron on his ass. The shit was so serious. I had to call the wifey. She know me. She's about to come to the spot to save this man because this man's about to get hurt. I chilled on it. I pull him to the side and I tell him afterward. He's like, oh, Nate, I've been drinking. I looked at him. The men in my family taught me a long time ago, don't ever let no man do something to you when he's drinking and then come and apologize and say he drunk. Because that was his true feelings. Our relationship would never be the same. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that with me. I'm a man with standards. It's just some things that you just can't do. And I don't want to hear about, oh, I was drinking. That's why you was talking all this, that, and the other. That's what you was thinking. That alcohol just it just took your inhibitions away. So when people are drinking, and when the other time and were people really honest? When they're angry. When a person get real mad, they say exactly what's on their mind, don't they? Motherfucker get real mad, he gonna tell you, he or she is gonna tell you exactly how they feel. So when you're dealing with somebody like that, just watch them, because you're gonna see the real them. The real them. So this officer, he got smacked in the face, and I think it's wrong. The officer trying to do whatever. I don't know the circumstances, but I think that danger and the threat of physical contact is inherent with the job. You're a police officer. You zip up every single day. You going to, in some cases, the line of fire. So when you get smacked, keep it professional, because that's your profession. You know what I'm saying? You chose to be in law enforcement, getting all them good benefits. You know what I'm saying? All that good overtime. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. So when that officer did that, I was thinking, damn, this is what was right underneath the surface when you got so upset that she's an NIGGER. You had another officer, white female officer, because we usually talk about white males, but white female officer, and she gets all of her feelings about some damn students. She's dealing with children. And you can't stand N-words, and you on some traffic stuff. Clearly, sis needs to be sat down. And this latest incident's white female as well. So what I would say is that law enforcement is not immune to the frailties of being human. They just people. And they got biases and resentments and isms and all kinds of stuff, just like everybody else. The difference is you got a gun. You got a gun and handcuffs. The law, the courts have given you the power to detain people. And in some cases, to use lethal force if you deem necessary. So your judgment and the way you see the world says a lot. You got to be A1. And not everybody is. not everybody is. Somebody writes true serum. Yep. True serum. That's exactly what it is. Don't ever let nobody get drunk and do something crazy to you. Man, ooh, no. Matter of fact, I was taught the exact opposite. What I was taught is that when you're dealing with somebody like that, that's when you really put that fire on them. Because they telling you exactly how they feel. And it always stuck with me. So, I give people grace. I gave this brother grace. Trust me, the wife was about to come up. She saved him. She saved him, y'all. No doubt about it. But I'm glad she did because I'm a peaceful man. Good morning to you. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. We got Black Rush on the line. And thank you for holding, Black Rush, as I got all of that out, brother. What's on your mind? And good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, comrade. Now, I was enjoying what you were saying, so it was no problem hanging out.
What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to talk about your interview with Dunny.
Yeah. What's your thoughts? What do you think about the interview or the conversation?
Well, I mean, I think you were light on him, but it was to be expected. For me, it's like this. Like, I'm thinking about if Dunny had been supported or was working for the Trump organization or the Trump administration, would he have gotten the same type of treatment from you? You know what I'm saying? You were talking about him standing on his own 2 feet, not wanting to associate him with PG Sittenfield, although PG Sittenfield not only is friendly with him, but also actually gave him money from that PAC.
You still there, brother?
Yeah, did you hear me?
The last thing I heard you say was he also gave him money from that PAC, and then it went silent.
Correct. Okay, no, that's where I was at. So he also gave him money from that PAC when he was running for Cincinnati City Council. You got to remember, PG Sittenfield, when he was running for mayor at the time, he had given the 6 individual city council candidates that he wanted on city council to be with him, and Dunny Isaacson was one of them. So, I mean, I'm just saying, you ain't want necessarily to get into that with him because you said you wanted him to stand on his own 2 feet. I hear you on that. But when you're getting money from somebody who just got caught for public corruption, found guilty, and we talk about associations with Trump all the time, I just don't see the consistent behavior in that. I think if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If you're associated with Trump, that's one thing you'll talk about it. But if you're associated with PG Sittenfield, who just got popped for public corruption, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, I like Dale Mallory in that seat. He's already been there before. He knows how to cut deals with Republicans. You asked about that too, about being effective up there. When
Really?
Dale Mallory was up there, he was effective.
Really? Was he?
Dale Mallory was effective up there.
I don't doubt it. You say he was effective in cutting deals with the Republicans. Like, can you give us any examples?
I mean, it's been 8 years. I would have to Google it. I just know he was coming down here, and I would listen to him on Black radio, and I would listen to him generally in public, and he would talk about stuff he was getting done. He was getting money down from the state. Like, I think one of the events he had down here was funded by state from the General Assembly.
Okay.
Again, it's been 8 years since he's been on there. It's been a while, but I know he was getting stuff done. This is like in early 2000s when he went up there, and it's with a super majority of Republicans. So I know he's capable of doing deals. He's done it before. Dunny's talking about rebel rousing up there at the State House, but that's ineffective for us. Like, just to be up there, just to have a Democrat up there rebel rousing and not getting any deals done, not cutting any deals with these Republicans, how does that benefit community to go up there and run your mouth? It doesn't.
Well,
I just think Mallory would be more effective in that seat.
You said he's gonna rabble rouse. That's not what I heard. I didn't hear him say anything. And again, I went back and watched all of his interviews. He's done like 3 or 4 different interviews with different people here locally, and I wanted to get a sense of how he answered people's questions. And I haven't heard any rabble rousing. In fact, what I heard him say was the exact opposite of rabble rousing. What he said was about building bridges and having real conversations with people and, making people feel like they're being heard, i.e., folks that might even vote for him. So that would be the opposite of rabble rousing. I'm not really sure if that's a fair way of putting it, but you're entitled to your opinion.
I'm talking about at the State House, not necessarily with the district. I'm talking about how Because how he's going up there talking, he's already said he's against Roe versus Wade. It's super majority up there, bro. Like, your best bet is to probably try to keep the 6-week heartbeat bill in place versus them taking away abortion altogether. Like, going the opposite way ain't gonna get you nowhere. It ain't gonna get women nowhere if they support that. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of stuff he has to be thinking about. Just going up straight up, I'm disappointed with Roe versus Wade being overturned. I believe in a woman's right to choose whatever. You got that right now with 6 weeks heartbeat bill. Now, you think you're going anywhere better than that as a Democrat? No. So you want to probably maintain what you got, knowing the demographics up there. That's how you operate. You don't go up there, operate in a super minority like you in a position of power. That's never
That's
going to
not
work.
what I heard him say. But I mean, we can hear things differently. I think that's an unfair characterization. I mean, the man just came off, so the air, so it's fresh in my mind. I think that's an unfair
Right.
characterization. I don't think that's what he said at all. In fact, I think he said the opposite. The fact that he's against Roe v. Wade was a question he answered from me. I mean, you can have his own personal position. It doesn't mean he's necessarily going to go up and try to be like a bull in a china shop, right? That's not what I've ever heard him say in this conversation or in the other interviews that I've seen him do. Have you watched any of his other interviews he's done?
No.
Yeah, you should do that. You might have a more accurate viewpoint of what he's actually said. Now, you never know what people are going to do until you get there.
I'll take what you said. I'll take from your show what it is. I mean, today's the election day, so we'll see what happens. But
Right.
you know, I haven't been really looking too much at the race. I just know Dale Mallory's in it, and I like Dale Mallory.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people
And
like
there was
Dale
some
Mallory. I'm not
controversy
telling
about
people.
that.
Again, I'm sure a lot of people like Dale Mallory. I'm sure they do. I mean, people have to make their decision based upon what they value and what they know.
Yeah, I just don't. There's another Caucasian male, acting like he did something for
So,
black folks just to build a political career. I'm
so
sensing that again.
he said, what did you just say now? He said he's what now?
I'm sensing another white guy who wants to play in our black communities, and then for the purpose of building up a political career. We done seen this before.
I know we saw it with John Cranley, and you were a part of that. You had nothing to say
No,
about
we saw that with PG Sittenfield. And
but
you
we
were
saw
part
that
of
with
that.
John Cranley. We saw that with
We saw
John
that with
Cranley,
PG.
and you was
And
cheerleading
PG.
John Cranley the whole time. So you're not consistent, bro. But it's all good though.
Nah, you're not. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Because
Don't do
you was
what?
cheerleading for PG.
Don't do what?
Don't act like you wasn't cheerleading for PG. Who used black folks? John Cranley didn't use black people.
Yeah, he didn't use
was a
black
black
people at all,
woman in the
did he?
race, and she
Yeah.
got beat.
He didn't use black people at all. Clearly, you haven't been paying attention when John. You're very biased when it comes to the white men that come into the black community use black people
Just
to get
like your bias
elected,
with PG.
and
Just
then
like
do
your bias
nothing
with
for
PG,
black
bro.
people.
It's cool.
You're very selective in that. That's
But your
all I'm
bias
trying
with
to say.
your bias with PG. It's cool.
You
We all
keep
got
saying
our
I'm riding for
biases, I guess.
PG, and again, I don't hide from nothing. I'll say it again. I thought that PG was a good council person. I thought he could have been a good mayor. I stand by that. Now, what happened, what he did and got himself caught up, that's on him. But it don't change my
Of
viewpoint
course,
on
it's
it.
on him.
But let me ask you
but I'm
another question.
saying he was. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought, then I can ask you.
No, we're gonna just say. Well, I mean, I hear you on that. I respect your position on that. But I'm saying, like, now PG is, somebody who's funded Dunny, and like that's not supposed to matter. I don't know about that one. But go ahead. What you want to ask?
Okay, well, I would say two things. What's up, black woman? Yeah, I'm good. Oh man, I'm getting love. Whoa, what is this? I'm getting public affection. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. The wifey just came in.
No,
So,
bro, you gotta do that.
but so let me get back to my point. I had a whole train of thought. So yeah, you keep talking about PG, but PG ain't ever running for nothing again. Nothing, no time soon. He's not on the ballot. So Trump has a strong chance and is giving indication that he might run again. So I think that talking about Trump is far more relevant than PG Sittenfield. And then everybody know you obsessed with PG Sittenfield. And then the second thing is,
Well,
you was
go
obsessed
ahead.
with him, bro. Your obsession with PG Sittenfield.
Obsessed with him.
You were you're still obsessed with him. You talk about him all the time. You was on Twitter talking about his family, and you and your little group was running all these games. I mean, you was 100% in that. And don't act like you weren't. But you said that
You do that with Trump, though.
So what now?
You're obsessed with Trump. I said you're obsessed with Trump. You talk about Trump every day.
There's a January 6th committee going on about this man leading an insurrection could have overthrown the damn government. What you mean I'm obsessed? I'm talking about relevant information. It's happening right now.
PG tried to overthrow local government. What are you talking about?
Sure he
He tried to
was.
overthrow the local government. Yeah, he did.
Sure he was.
I mean, PG Sittenfield and Donald Trump, from our estimates, is the same person. Just
Yeah.
different sides of the coin.
Yeah, sure they are. You are making yourself.
So you want to talk
You are
my
making
you want to talk my
yourself,
obsession?
brother. I think
Go
that
ahead.
you are making yourself look a lot less credible when you say things like that, because that don't make no sense whatsoever. But
It makes total sense if you follow this.
I want to get a sense of. You said you kind of said earlier that you felt like there were some things I should have asked Dunny that I didn't ask him. What do you think I should have asked him that I didn't ask him?
I mean, I really think you should have asked him about his financial contributions from PG Sittenfield. I mean, it's like anything else. Like, people are associated with certain people, and it's like, are we getting the same type of politician? Yeah, you might be right. PG ain't running for none of us ever again, but his money still travels, bro. So he still got influence out here. It's like Trump still got influence out here. So we got people out here who's doing public corruption, who got money, who still influencing elections and influencing candidates. That matters. But you'll say it matters in the case of people who are associated with Trump, but not with PG.
So you
I
think
just think it's inconsistent.
So you think I should have asked him about the money, like what he should have given the money back, or what exactly you think I should have asked?
Yeah, that'd have been legit. Well, how do you feel about this? I mean, this is somebody who
What else do you
financially
think I
supported
should
your
have asked him?
campaign.
What else do you think I
I
should
mean, I
have
think
asked
that
him
was
that I didn't?
we could just that one question.
So just
I think
that
was the
one.
one question.
Okay, so it's just, you sure it's just one? I want to make sure. You sure it's just one question? There's no other questions I should have asked him in your opinion?
Not that I have an opinion about. No,
Okay, so I should have asked him why he took the money from PG Sinfield or why he didn't give it back.
no, I wouldn't have worried quite like that. But about that subject matter, yes,
Okay, all right. Point noted.
I think that's fair.
Point taken. Anything
But
else?
other than that, yeah. What you do about the Deshaun Watson? They still talking about it, man. Like, people are mad. I don't understand why they mad about it.
Because they think
But
he
they
didn't
ain't
get
been
it.
found guilty or nothing.
Because he's a black man that might have did something wrong, and he's also super rich, so he got 2 strikes against him, and the public is looking for blood, and they feel like 6 games is not enough, and it's not really 6 games. He didn't play all last year either, so
Nah, he got paid. He got paid too, though. All last year, he did get paid.
I mean, that's the way the contracts go. I mean,
Right.
the NFL has never been the arbiter of morality. When did the NFL start doing the right thing? They've never done the right thing. So looking to the NFL to do the right thing now, whatever that might be with Deshaun Watson, I think you're looking at the wrong. You're looking at a fish asking it to jump rope. That's just not what they are. You know what I'm saying? That's an oligarchy of primarily older white people. That's their game. They set the rules, and that's it. And that's it.
Now, I want to ask you a question about these police officers, though.
Sure.
Like, the last person who, I guess, quoted using the good word, N-word, I don't think she was talking about black people, though.
Who's you talking about?
Arabs.
Right. She said saying N-word.
Right. Yeah. I want to make sure that was clear. Like,
right.
I just want to make sure that you said that, because I think maybe you left the saying part out.
Okay.
But can you believe that, though? Well, it changes the demographics about who you're talking about. I mean, if we're using street language, that matters.
Yeah, I'm looking
if
at
we're using
a
street
photograph
language,
of her
that
right
matters.
now.
You know what I'm saying?
When a Karen has a badge, it's a bad thing. Officer Kelly, is it Drock? D-R-A-C-K or D-R-A-C-H?
Yeah, something like that.
Kelly Drake, or maybe Drake. Kelly Drake?
I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's like truck, something like truck with a D. I don't know.
Yeah. So apparently she was talking with some people, and she used the term saying N-word. They checked her. And then a little while later, she said it again. So she like, hey, I'm going to do what I want to do.
She was talking to the telemarketers. I guess they kept blowing up her phone. She got tired of it. Like, saying, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, we all do that.
We all do that?
I'm not. Of course we don't. I mean, it says something about her. Like, you get upset, and the first thing that come out of your mouth is something like that. I mean, check yourself.
Hey, and you see how long she's been on the force, right?
How long?
I think since '98.
I'm looking at the
She
article
she
now.
OG up in that piece.
Yeah.
She like 24 years deep in that boy.
Damn. Woof. I wonder how many other officers on the Cincinnati Police Force have that same mentality. I just don't know. Hopefully
Hey,
it's none, but
hey, you know, don't. Well, we know it's not none, but I mean black and white too, because hey, saying ain't just exclusively used by white folks. I just heard black folks use that too, like talking about Arabs.
do they? I don't, but you're probably right about that. Yeah, black people have been accused of using, we use racial epithets like everybody else. You're right about that. I'm like racial slurs like everybody else do, unfortunately. I think it's interesting, but it is what it is. People are human. Anything else, brother? Still there?
She wasn't talking about black people. Yeah, she wasn't talking about black people in this. She's talking about Arabs. I don't know if that makes a difference to some folks,
Well,
but
she was talking about
hey,
non-white people. That's why I use that phrase sometimes, non-white, because
okay,
to white
okay,
people, we all non-white. That's the only thing that matters. We just ain't white, period. I mean, the first
all
time I
right,
started
comrade.
experiencing all this stuff, I'm video gaming. I'm on Xbox Live 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I start hearing people calling me the N-word playing the damn video game because they're hearing that voice and they're making assumptions about it. And I'm like, wow, little kids, all kind of people. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So, in the minds of some white people, as long as if you ain't white, that's the problem, period. No matter whether you from the Middle East or you from Africa or you from Japan, it don't really make a difference to them. Some people anyway.
Yeah, should she get fired?
Um, I wouldn't be upset if she is. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset one bit. Her and Rose Valentino. We can do
Man,
better. We can do better.
well,
That's. But I'm a
hey,
citizen, though. I mean, they got a whole, contract with the city and the FOP. So we'll see what happens.
right. They got fired the first two dudes first.
Anything else, brother?
They need to fire the first two dudes, from my perspective. They're going to fire everybody. Whoever uses it, get fired.
I think
Spare no one.
moving forward, a zero tolerance policy is exactly what's needed across the board. Across the board, black, white, don't make no difference. That's how you
I mean,
show that
I agree
Black
with you,
Lives
Eddie.
Matter.
Well, I just think it's unprofessional. I mean, I think in any other profession, if you said that at work and got caught, you wouldn't survive
Right, you worked
professionally.
at Taco Bell or fast food. More than likely, yeah. Never can tell, but more than likely, I would have. Yeah, you probably gonna lose your job, as you should. All right, brother, got to
So,
make a
all
move.
right, comrade.
Yep, take it easy.
Ah.
Appreciate you. That's Black Russia right there. Good to talk with you, brother. Good to hear a different perspective, man. He and I politically and on some issues are just coming from different viewpoints. I ain't trying to totally invalidate what the brother has to say. He just thinks differently than I do. He thinks completely differently. And his obsession with PG Sinfield is like decades long, man, decades long. And a lot of that goes back to the fact that, he and Smitherman, and I don't know, man, you rep for Smitherman, but I don't ever hear Smitherman repping for you, man. Never. I mean, it seems like Smitherman has sort of turned his back on you. I ain't trying to start nothing, but that's just my perspective. But you still be repping for that man. So it is what it is. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, but there's a maxim. It comes with a little bit of a maxim, which means that if you want to make a phone call into the Nathan Ivey Show, you have to open your mind before you open your mouth. Simple as that. Other than that, it's all good. If not, a tisk with a flick of the wrist, and we move on. Have you heard about the black Trumpster? Previous to yesterday, he got the most time of any of the January 6th insurrectionists. You hear about this? I don't understand I kind of understand black Trumpsters, right? His name is Mark Ponder, and his punishment is was tied for the longest sentence of any of the people who were involved with January 6th. He got the same amount of time as a man named Robert Scott Palmer. Robert Scott Palmer, He struck Capitol police officers with a fire extinguisher. He went to the Capitol. I don't know if he took one off the wall, he brought a fire extinguisher with him, and he hit Capitol police officers with the fire extinguisher. The brother, the black Trumpster who just loved him some Trump so more, his name is Mark Ponder. Loved him some Trump so much. I got some images for you. He actually took, I don't know if it was a pole or a cane or something like that, and he went to the Capitol and he started swinging it at the Capitol police. I saw the video. I saw the still shots and everything. This black man went to the Capitol on January 6th with like a big old like pole, like I don't know what, like, and start swinging the pole at the Capitol police. I can't make this up. It's hilarious. This is one that drops people. This guy, and many of the Capitol police officers had body cam on. Wait till I show you this image. You ain't gonna believe it. Many of them had body cam. So all of this got caught on body cam. Let me show you these images. This dude is nuts. And I also want to share with you some of the things that he said. This man went to the Capitol, got into a fracas, got detained by Capitol Police. Then things really started to jump off, right? So they let him go and told him, they escorted him to the outer edges of where all of the demonstration was going on. And they told him, don't come back in here, right? About an hour later, he comes back in, gets on the stage, he's waving the cane. Let me back up here. So as the police were escorting him away from the scene of the crime, that scene where the January 6th insurrections were outside of that building, they told him, don't come back. Apparently, as he's walking out, the crowd was like, yeah, they was jazzing him up. He was all like, doing little moves and stuff. This what you doing? This what you doing, bro? Oh my God, dear Lord up in heaven. Please save these people, please. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. They escort the man to outside of the area. They tell him don't come back. He comes back an hour later, gets on the stage. He gets on the stage, y'all. You can't make this up, man. This is hilarious. He gets on the stage and he's whipping up the crowd. They detain him a second time. And this time he starts to lecture the Capitol police officers, talking about how one day they're going to see the light and this is all about freedom. And they're on the wrong side of history. Huh? What is wrong with these people, man? Oh my God. I actually, the wonders of the internet, I got a chance to actually read the government indictment against him. It's like 15 pages, 20 pages long. I read through it. It's like a cartoon. I'm like, really? Like people really did this? Black man. And I'm like, bro, clearly something is wrong with this man. You a black man, you gonna get it. Got into it with the police, with the Capitol Police. Here it is right here. There it is right here. Here's another image. This is man, all caught on body cam. Caught on body cam. So people say it was nonviolent protest, it was Antifa. No, it was Trump's people that he purposely whipped into a frenzy. And a shout out to Clarence Lucene, who we've spoken to several times. Clarence Lucene is a very dope brother, man. Very dope brother. You see him right there on the right over here? He's on the right-hand side with a cane. And I don't think he's a Kappa. So he wasn't party walking. But he's got that cane right there. Maybe he is a Kappa. I don't know. I don't know if Kappas are going to claim him after all of this, but he's got his Kappa cane. Here's another image right here. As he's swinging at the cane at the Capitol Police officer. Look at this guy right there. Look at him swinging it. Swinging the cane at the Capitol Police. Now, what in the hell is wrong with this man? But that's how it started. And this is how it ended. That's how it ended. Oh, what a fool, man. Oh my gosh. What a fool. Would you like a close-up of Mr. Ponder? Black Trumpster. Put it all on the line for Trump. This is what he looked like. Now, I'm just messing with Drop when I say this, but I bet this is one of Drop's heroes. This is one of Drop's heroes. He loves this. Black, this is the face of black, not Democrat right here. That's the crazy shit. He got 5 years plus. This is him talking with the Capitol Police after they I think this is this is the first time they detained him. They spoke with him, was like, look, we got a bigger fish to fry here, so just leave and we don't want to talk no more. All right, here is a snippet. During the same conversation, Ponder also lectured the officers who arrested him, saying, among other things, and I'm paraphrasing, like, we're fighting for freedom. Yeah, you're fighting for freedom, all right. You know, deep in your heart, you know that your fathers, your grandfathers, they fought for this freedom in which people are giving away. The thing is, at some point, you're going to have to choose and make up your mind what side you're going to take. That's what we're fighting for, because they are stealing that right. And it's blatant. Everybody can see it. Actually, Mr. Ponder, nobody can see it. Nobody can see it. The Justice Department did an investigation. You had state secretaries or the offices in individual states that, you know, have the constitutional, per the state constitution that they're in, the constitutional authority, to administer the elections and therefore do investigations afterward. They found nothing whatsoever. So what is he talking about? Nobody was stealing anything except for Trump. That's the irony of it. But, you know, I got hip to Trump's games early on. So with Trump, and some people are like this as well. So, you know, maybe maybe you want to remember this. But when some people start protesting and this, that, and the other, they're really talking about themselves. When Trump was like, stop the steal, he was talking about him stealing because he knew what he was trying to do. And again, shout out to Clarence Lucene. Clarence Lucene is a black professor. He's the author of several books, including one of my absolute favorite books, The Black History of the White House. I know you heard me talk about that book, and he's been on the show many, many times. Very strong mental, very strong mental. He wrote a piece most recently that appeared in the Washington Post in which he detailed what was the plot from these Republicans and people. What I'm here to tell you is that it was deeper. They had a whole plan, and the January 6th insurrectionist was just one part of it. They had a whole plan in which they were going to try to legally, right, steal the election in favor for Donald Trump. And they were going to try to use some of the ambiguity in the laws and people's lack of knowledge, but it was purely, it was much more sophisticated than the general public really understands. And that's one thing that I think the January 6th committee is going to talk more about when they come back. It wasn't just Trump was trying to get people to go to Congress. It was deeper than that. It was much deeper than that. It was much more sophisticated than that. And it was a real thing. But that's Mr. Mark Ponder. He got 5 years, y'all, fighting for his freedoms. Got 5+ years. He got 60 months plus fighting for his freedoms. You had Capitol Police. You had the Washington Metropolitan Police. They had body-worn camera. They caught most of it. He's accused of attacking a Washington, D.C. officer and being among the violent throng who attempted to crush its way into the Capitol building via a tunnel. In one interview, he said he's not black, he's MAGA. He's not black, he's MAGA. That's how they juice you up. It's like, you ain't black, you're my brother. You're a MAGA, we're all MAGA. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is how it started. Where did he start here when he's just walking in? That's Mr. Ponder on the far right with the cane, with the Kappa cane. He about to party walk. And this is how it ended. Yeah, like 3 or 4 officers that jumped on him. I saw the video. You can just Google his name and put video. His name is Mark Ponder, Ponder, and you can watch the video or clips of the video for yourself. But hilarious, man. Absolutely. But it's funny on some levels that somebody, part of me, would put themselves in harm's way for a lie. But it really speaks to how people can be easily motivated. You hear about people in these cults and things like that, and people say it can never be me. I think in most cases, yeah, but you got people out there that feel disaffected. They feel disenfranchised. They feel as if the world has left them behind. They feel as if nobody listens to them, right? A lot of people just want to be listened to, right? And you got some very smart, intelligent people, like people that know how to work with people. They have experience with working with individuals, and they know how to just influence you. You know what I'm saying? And Trump and his simple sort of black and white morality and all the things that he stood for, whatever the hell that is, that appealed to a lot of people. The state of the country appealed to a lot of people for something new. So I don't want to totally discredit it. There was something there, but this is what we doing, bro. We out here fighting. Look at this man. He went heads up with police. So clearly something's not right there, clearly. But good morning to you. 513-873-7134. Just a few things that are on my radar screen this morning. Let me go back to the chop shop and say good morning to everybody. CG Dub writes, I stay wondering what would have happened to these cops had they used a gay slur or called a Jewish slur. Well, that's a fair question. But here's what I would say. What I would say is that the most obvious answer is we don't know because it didn't happen. But if I was giving into my more cynical side, what I would say is that if an officer uttered a Jewish slur or a gay slur, then there would have been more outrage from those communities. Okay. I think it would have been louder. It would have been more sustained. Now, I don't blame those communities. I don't blame Jewish folks because they stick together. I don't blame the LGBTQ community because they stick together. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stick together. Unfortunately, in our community, it's very easy to divide people. Again, dividing black people is one of the easiest things to do. Very easy. And a lot of it has to go back to that slavery-ish. I'm going to go ahead and say it, that Willie Lynch. That ish is still real today. I see it on a weekly basis. Dividing black people is the easiest thing to do. It is so easy. And it'll continue to happen. So I'm with you, CG Dub. Had he said that about the gay community, that would have fallen Voltron. They'd have fallen Voltron. Okay, great. What's our problem? What's stopping us from forming Voltron? Form Voltron and whatever that means. That means, hitting up the city manager. You know what I'm saying? If that means going down to the next city council meeting and raising hell, what's stopping you from doing that? So again, I don't hate on the Jewish community because they organize. I mean, even Farrakhan once said that he don't hate Jews. He admires them. This came out of Farrakhan's mouth. He said, I admire Jews. Because look at, they showing us how to be. I ain't mad at them because they got unity, because they ain't having it. We should have that same attitude. And if we don't, we only have us to blame. Can't blame the Jews. Can't blame other groups because they ain't having it. They ain't having it. You already know. You say something about gay folks all around the world will form Voltron. Black folks ain't like that. Just telling you. Black folks ain't like that. We love to splinter ourselves on dumb stuff. We love to do it. I'm FBA. I'm ADOS. Y'all the same. Y'all are the same. There's no difference in what those groups are saying. The only difference is the personalities that lead the groups. But there's no difference. But I'm ADOS. I'm FBA. So once again, that's just another example of how black folks are so easily divided. Easily divided. All it takes is some slick talk and somebody put a flag together or start saying some stuff, with an element of truth, a little bit of truth there. And black folks would divide themselves. It's that Willie Lynch. I said it. I don't understand the difference between ADOS and FBA. From my vantage point, they're the exact same. They'd be so much more powerful working together, but they don't like each other. We do this to ourselves all the time. And then when other groups say, oh, you ain't gonna do this to us, we want to get mad. Who we got to blame? Who we got to blame? Let me challenge you further. How many people in this audience have reached out to the city manager or somebody with an email or a voicemail and said, do something about this as it relates to the N-word? So if the gay community say enough is enough and they start firing off emails and going down to city council, how are we going to get mad at them? I'm just on some self-empowerment type stuff these days, right? You know what I'm saying? If it ain't something self-empowering, then what we doing? Again, my question is, I know there's members of the audience. You know what I'm saying? I'm challenging you on some levels. I know those members, you're like, N-word, I ain't having that. But how many people took it further than just us talking about it or leaving a comment on this show or maybe on Sister Irish's stream or some other show? What stopped you? So when the Jews say enough is enough, we about to get their ass. We should do that. The reason why there's such a backlash when people say something about gays is because they all come together. We don't do that. You'll have some do, but the other runs, I'm ADOS, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I don't like them, I don't like that. And so we stay perpetually divided. Am I wrong? We stay perpetually divided. I mean, let me talk about the NAACP. The NAACP doing great work. And it just blows my mind when I hear people saying they were started by Jews. What in the hell does that have to do with what we're doing right now? They were started by Jews. Okay. I'm aware of the history. And what's your point? We love to divide ourselves on the smallest little dumbass shit. And then we want to sit back, and again, I'm not picking on you, CG Dub. You just helped to spark this flow. I appreciate it. Then we want to sit back and say, but what if it was somebody else? We already know they ain't going to have it. They're not going to tolerate it. They're not going to let it happen. And if it happens, they're going to rain down on you until something changes. Black folks, we got a shelf life of about a week, and then it's back to business. So we got all the power. We just don't use it. And then when we do use it, what I've seen is we like to use it against ourselves. we love to snipe at one another. We love that. We good at that. Coming together for a sustained effort, not so much. Not so much. Just being real with us. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Okay. If we're gonna do this, if I'm gonna do this every day, I'm gonna do this every day. And that's how I see it. So, good for the Jews. Good for the gay and lesbian and LGBTQ community. Great for them. I wish that black folks had that kind of stamina, on the issue. Because we could change some shit. We could change some shit starting this year, but we'll see what happens. You got black folks out there don't even know they black, arguing about whether they black or not. You got black folks out there that don't even know their vote matters. So how in the hell? And it's significant. How are we going to change something? It's not going to happen. And therefore, we get the same old stuff over and over again. Charles writes, hero, Drop is next. I just joke with my big brother Drop. I'm just joking with him. I don't know. Drop is a peaceful guy. I'm just messing with him. I ain't trying to get you to call in, bro, because I got this. Trust me. But I'm just messing with my big bro. That's it. That's it. Brent writes, Nate, are you sure that Mark Ponder is not Drop Squad 52? It's not Drop Squad 52. TNT writes, Trump loves the uneducated. He says so himself. He did say that. It was a Freudian slip. He loves uneducated people because he can fill your brain with what he wants in your head. Like, for instance, if you don't have a plan for yourself, somebody else will. Somebody else will. You can believe that. Charles writes, Trump's appeal is cloaked in racism. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Anthony writes, man, I don't think I'm heard all the time, but you won't catch my black ass doing this kind of dumb-ish. TNT writes, don't forget to vote today after this is on, so get ready for some big races ahead. Yeah, and the NAACP is going to be back again, providing education for the upcoming election. That's right. I love the fact that they live stream those debates and those opportunities to learn about the candidates. I just hope that people, when you see them put them out later this year, share it with people, because this is an opportunity, with COVID and monkeypox and just time, having the opportunity of being able to just go to your Facebook and just, look at a video. It's just so easy. So props to the NAACP for the work they're going. I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. But I don't think I ever will. I think I'm just cut from a different cloth. I'm not like other people. Tanika writes, tell the truth, Nate. I say that very, very boldly. Let me see. Anthony writes, right, Nate. We complain about what we perceive as being given to others, yet totally overlook that they get out here and put in the work to get what they want. Absolutely. You go let one of these officers say something about gays and the lesbians and see what happened. You've already seen what happened. They're going to form Voltron for a sustained effort. It won't just be for a day or two or a week and then, go back to sleep. And that's why things get done. Dale writes, FBA and ADOS working together on a lie. Sound like Slim Charles from The Wire. Is that right? Don Lee writes, I emailed a few council members asking them to adopt a zero tolerance policy for all city employees. Appreciate that, Don. But I'm telling you, I already know people. Most people didn't do that. Even people that's outraged. Why not? Take it a step further. If you send an email to city council, it's going to have an impact. You're going to impact the council person directly because they're going to read it. And human beings, when we see things and read them, it has an impact on you. Now, are you going to get the outcome that you want? Not always. But you're definitely going to impact them. And if you impact them, you could potentially influence them and let them know how you feel. Right? Man, listen, if something happens in the city and then you clog up the telephone systems for for city council, that's a news story. That could hit the news. Community outrage about XYZ, floods city council's phone lines. Ooh, really? Right. So now you're having greater influence. So I'm 100% about the action part, not just the talking part, but we'll see what happens. Everybody's different. I understand working and kids and life. I get it. TNT writes, Iris had the platform on Freedom Friday to speak directly to city manager in chief and tell them how you feel about it. That's right. She puts together these Freedom Fridays and she talks with the individuals that are actually in the city. But how many people are tuning in and sharing? I jump in. I don't jump in every time, but I jump in. I'm like, oh, I shoot a question here or there. You know what I'm saying? Leave a comment. Absolutely. It's an opportunity. Sadly, I think that more people, I won't say sadly, I'll say that it's an opportunity that still exists for people. Check it out. Check it out. You can't say you ain't got the opportunities. They're there. People's got to take it. Elijah writes, why do we submit to a color? Your genealogy will tell you who is who. That's just the world we live in. Unfortunately, Elijah, what you look like matters. And it always will. We will never live in a colorblind society. It will never be colorblind. That's not even the goal. The goal is not colorblind. The goal is no matter what you look like, What your skin tone is that you got the same access to opportunities as everybody else. That you're treated with equity. You're given equity no matter what your racial background might be, no matter what you look like. But we'll never live in a colorblind society. It'll always be that way. We inherited this. We didn't create it. We inherited it. The thing is, in the LGBTQ community, there are divisions by race. How many log cabin Republicans came out defended black trans violence? They are not as together as it appears. You're right, absolutely right about that, Daryl. You're absolutely right about that. Absolutely right about that. TNT writes, watch United States of America on Black Appalachia, historic beginning of black movements, including where the NAACP was formed. Okay. Hit me to the game. Hit me the game. So I got to make a move, folks. I'll leave you with a couple of words from our today's sponsor. Again, I don't do any endorsements. These are nothing more than opportunities for people that are running for office to get in front of you. So make your own decision. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. And I'll be back with you, hopefully, and better than ever tomorrow morning. We'll chop it up on People, Politics, and Pleasure. Until next time, I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.
I'm Mayor Aftab Puraval, and I'm asking you to vote for my friend Dunny Isaacson for state representative. I know Dunny, and he will be a representative who gets things done for our city. Early vote starts July 6th, and Election Day is August 2nd. Don't forget to vote for Dunny Isaacson to be our Democratic candidate for state representative in District 24 on August 2nd.
I'm Dunny Isaacson, candidate for Ohio State Representative, and I approve this message. Paid for by Friends of Dunny Isaacson.
I'm former Mayor Dwight Tillery, and I want to encourage you to vote for my friend Dunny Isaacson for state representative. Early vote starts July 6th, and Election Day is August 2nd. If you're in Walnut Hills, over the Rhine, the West End, Westwood, or the rest of District 24, don't forget to vote for Democrat Dunny Isaacson for state representative.
I'm Dunny Isaacson, candidate for Ohio State Representative, and I approve this message. Paid for by Friends of Dunny Isaacson.
Yeah, talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand. Back again like flu season, I broke